Doctors, do you know why chiropractors succeed? Hi, everybody. Welcome to the KC CHIROpulse Podcast, brought to you by CATS Consultants and Chiro Health USA. I'm your host, Dr. Michael Perusich, and I'm joined by my co-host, Dr. Alex Kallio. Today, Alex, we're talking about the top 5 reasons why chiropractors succeed. And this isn't theory. This isn't fluff. This is the real stuff we see every single day of why doctors succeed. And we could do an antithesis to this and talk about why they don't succeed, but let's keep it positive, right?
Absolutely.
You know, the first thing, and I think this is important, and I'm going to kind of have you jump in here on this one, especially because you just are starting another new practice. You have to have vision, because I think vision just drives everything.
Yeah. Well, vision to not only you obviously see where you want to be, but the route to get there, right? You've got to have a bit of a plan, and you've got to be able to have some detail to it and be excited about it.
And you've got to have a path. So we talk about when you start a business, you got to have a business plan and all that, because it's your roadmap and blah, blah, blah. But man, if you don't have the vision for where you want to go, if you don't have the vision of what chiropractic can do for people in your community, you just aren't going to succeed. And we see a lot of times, especially, and I'm not picking on you guys out there, but some of the new doctors coming out of school, we see that they just really don't have a vision for chiropractic. They don't have not only their own personal purpose, but they just don't have a vision of what chiropractic is that really aligns with what we do. And so they lose momentum, they lose resilience in the marketplace. And I think you've got to have that clear vision to be able to even remotely find success.
Yeah. And it plays off both sides, right? I mean, the vision and what you want the business to be and ultimately look like, but the vision and excitement to talk about it. You've got to bring others on board with your vision and get other people excited about what you're doing too, to not only keep you accountable to kind of put the work in and get there, but also just get other people excited about what you're doing. And the more you can do that, not only within your office and with your patients, but with your friends, with your family, they're going to help you to reach that vision as well.
You bring up a great point. Excitement creates success. And I just love that, because it's so true. We're going to take a quick break. We got to hear a quick word from our sponsors, and we will be right back.
In today's economy, every dollar counts. Families are facing tough choices, having to reconsider what was once essential to them. When it comes to healthcare, no one should have to compromise on their well-being because of financial constraints. That's where Chiro Health USA steps in, the solution for your practice. We understand the financial pressures families are under, whether they're insured, on Medicare, or paying out of pocket for treatment. By offering discounts on care, you can ensure that your patients can still afford the treatment they need. At Chiro Health USA, we're committed to making sure no family has to sacrifice their health due to financial hardship. We'll work with you to create a game plan that keeps your waiting room full and your practice thriving. And here's the best part. Offering affordable care not only benefits your patients, but also positively impacts your bottom line. So why wait? Join Chiro Health USA today and join the ranks of the most successful practices. Because when you put more patients first, everyone wins.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the KC CHIROpulse Podcast. We are talking about the 5 reasons why chiropractors succeed. There's probably a whole lot more things than just the 5, but these are kind of the 5 things that we see a lot as kind of the common denominators. And the next one I want to talk about is just having a relentless drive for your KPIs, for your statistics. And obviously this is near and dear to my heart, because I love the numbers. And why is that? Well, it's because the numbers don't lie. And the doctors that succeed really pay attention deeply to those KPIs.
Yeah. I mean, again, it kind of comes back to what we were talking about at first, right? You got to know where you're ultimately going, but where you are on the road getting there. And if you're tracking that detail, you're just flying blind. You don't have any clue what you need to do next to, either for new patients or how is your retention? How are you doing in office? How are you performing? If you aren't statistics deep, you have no idea how you're performing or what, again, action steps you need to be taking or focusing on. And usually people end up then focusing on the wrong things.
Well, that's exactly right. And far too often I see doctors using their KPIs as benchmarks. Oh, look, July was better this year than it was last year. That's a benchmark that really doesn't show you how successful you are. It might show you a little bit of an indicator as to whether or not you're growing year over year or month over month, but you got to dig into the trends, and you've really got to analyze the numbers deeply to understand what they're telling you. And I think in our profession we have a tendency to just focus on the very basics: patient visits, collections, new patients. And it's funny when you go to conventions and things, you hear doctors talk about, yeah,
Because this seminar numbers.
yeah, the seminar numbers. Oh, I see 450 new patients a month. Okay, great. How broke are you?
Yeah.
Because those basic numbers don't really tell you much about your practice. If your collections are $50,000 a month, that's great, unless your expenses are 60,000. Then you're going in the hole. So you've really got to dig into those numbers really, really deeply. And I think a big number that doctors just throw at the wall to see if it sticks are your fees. And we don't sometimes talk about our fees as far as being part of our KPIs, but if you don't set your fees correctly, you'll be out of business pretty quick. And how many times do we see doctors who have profit per patient visit that is negative?
Yeah. Well, and trying to throw out we're going to arbitrarily come up with we talked ad nauseum, in different podcasts here it's the 17.99, you get the kitchen sink and the free car. You're throwing in some different things for this low fee, but what does it cost you to see that person?
Yeah.
And are they returning for other services? And what is their longevity? Just numbers that they aren't digging into. And most likely, when we continue to do a lot of that stuff, they're probably losing money.
Exactly. And far too often when they do those low cost first day things, and like you said, throw in the kitchen sink and the new car, it takes you so many visits to get profitable. And that's another side of your numbers is how long before that patient is actually profitable in your practice. And in a lot of cases, it takes more than 3 or 4 visits. And yet that's the primary dropout point, is about the 3rd or 4th visit, where a lot of those low cost patients drop out of care.
Yeah. Well, and part of that is a mindset, right? I mean, that patient that's looking for that low cost entry point, then to turn around and be charged for, they're probably complaining about kind of every step along the way, or they're not utilizing your services as they should be because of cost. So let's attract better patients that are wanting to pay and find those patients. How do we go about that? How do we track our numbers? And really making sure that we're attracting the kind of patients into our offices that we want to be seeing and that are a lot more fun to see.
Yeah, bingo. Because if you're attracting the wrong kind of patients, the patients that don't fit your mindset, that don't believe in your vision, that don't help you build the culture of your practice will spin out of control.
Yeah. Yeah. Wasted staff and doc time on a ton of admin, just time wasting stuff that we don't need to be messing with.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of that, when it comes to patients, we also have to create a very patient-centric experience. We call it the wow. You got to have the wow factor. Why do people go to places like Starbucks and spend $10 on a cup of coffee? They go because of the experience. And then, and we all know this, you go to Starbucks and you can't wait to see how they spell your name today and all those kind of crazy things. And then you walk into the office and what does everybody say? Oh my gosh, you went to Starbucks? Did you get me anything? What'd you get? And there's this excitement around it because Starbucks has been great at creating that wow experience.
Yeah. Well,
and for
sorry, Joey, you're good. Disney family. We right. Disney pretty frequently. Is it because they're cheap? No. It's probably the most expensive place you could go.
Yeah.
We go frequently, and it's because of the experience. It's because of what they are providing and top to bottom, from aesthetics to obviously entertainment to your food options and just all the things that make it the happiest place on earth. What are you doing in your office to differentiate to make it a better experience? And that's something I think way more offices need to start paying attention to.
Yeah, because the traditional doctor's office experience is pretty blah at best.
And things.
At best. Sometimes it's even standoffish. And you bring up Disney and you go often, I go often because we become loyal to it. And it's that loyalty factor that creates and breeds that long-term lifetime patient. And I think we have to spend more time thinking about our patients as far as their lifetime value. And that that goes back to another subject called retention. But if we're creating that wow factor in the practice, and doctors, it's not just you, it's your staff as much as anything. It's the environment, the physical plant, if you will. Everything has to create the experience for people. And when we create that experience, we create loyal patients.
Yeah. And again, what do people feel, hear, smell, see when they walk into your office? I mean, is it so quiet that you hear a pin drop and it's almost uncomfortable to sit in? Do we have the shag carpet still around?
Right.
The office has been there
He's still on the wall.
which we've seen. It's just what are they seeing? Sometimes you got to step back and just kind of see it from a different perspective. Go into your office and be the patient. Walk in the door. What are they seeing for the first time? We get a little store blind, right? Stuff that we're in a day out. You kind of, oh yeah, that table's had a rip in it for, a few months. And after you just kind of start ignoring it. But your patients aren't ignoring it. They're seeing it and they're wondering why they're letting that go. Again, their thoughts start to run wild. So take a peek at things. Make sure your patient, it doesn't mean what I see some clients do sometimes is they mistake, oh, we have to give a better experience. It means I have to spend more time. It doesn't mean you have to spend more time. Again, experience doesn't equal time, but it is a mix of a whole lot of the things we talked about already that provide the right experience for patients.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a great thing to be talking with your staff about too. I hear a lot of doctors say, well, I don't have staff meetings because I don't know what to talk about. Talk about whether or not you're creating the wow factor in your practice. That's a great one. And it'll get everybody engaged because it's fun too. I think that's a very important part of becoming successful. So
Absolutely.
we need to take another quick break. Here, a quick word from our sponsors. We're talking about the 5 things that chiropractors need to do to be successful. We'll be right back.
KC Chiropractic Consultants, your partner in chiropractic success. We are dedicated with one-on-one guidance to bring you all your practice management needs. Let's supercharge your practice. Give us a call today.
Okay, we are back. Thank you to our sponsors. And we're talking about the 5 things chiropractors need to do to be successful. And we're on number 4. And I think number 4 is you have to have systems in your practice, because a practice without systems, I almost said symptoms. The practice without systems has a lot of symptoms called chaos.
Yeah. And with systems, people tend to think of systems really just in terms of, they get kind of narrow in where they think that that's HIPAA or that's, that's some of these things. And that's not really, what we're talking about there. There's a much bigger picture in terms of policies and systems that shape your office, also shape that experience for patients too.
Yeah. And they do go hand in hand, very intertwined with the patient experience. Part of systems is creating those repeatable efforts that, things like, how do you process a new patient? Is it always the same? Is it repeatable? Or is it very clunky and you look ill prepared when the patient walks in the door? Your staff's not ready. They don't have the paperwork together. And the patient becomes very confused by it. Not too long ago, I was at a doctor's office. I don't mind saying this. It was an orthopedic surgeon. And they were so not prepared. And this is like middle of the day. It's not like they just opened. It's middle of the day when they should have that steam going. And they weren't prepared for me. They didn't know who I was. They didn't respond. I just stood at the front counter for a couple of minutes and everybody's just talking to each other and not paying a lick of attention to me. That's not a good system. That's chaos. Because what I see as the patient is I see a practice that doesn't care about me.
Yeah.
I'm just a number. I'm just another person there to disrupt their day. And that's exactly how I felt. And by the way, I'll never go back there again because of it. And so again, systems and the patient experience are so intertwined with each other that they have to happen. So whether it's scheduling or we're talking about collections or patient communication, patient education, how we communicate treatment plans, whatever it might be. It has to run smooth and it has to have structure to it.
Yeah. Well, it's even down to how are we greeting patients? Again, how quickly
Yeah,
should
exactly.
be greeted when they come in? Kind of right. So what you were talking about in your experience there at the orthopedic office. What is all of that? But that should be it should be trained. It should be role played. All of those things from how are patients first time in? How are they taken through your office? Who is responsible to do vitals or do just everything along that pathway should be talked about, and there should be a system to it so that the next person or the next staff person comes in is going to do it the exact same way, and you aren't wondering what a person or staff person or anybody within that is saying to a patient when they miss an appointment or have a financial question at the ROS checkout or whatever comes up. You know what they're saying and you know the message that's being given. And that's extremely important.
It's huge. So doctors, break down everything that happens in your office, break down every process, every procedure, and make sure they're good. And here's a tip for you. As your practice grows, your procedures have to change. You can't use the same procedures when you're seeing 50 patient visits a day that you used when you saw 10 patient visits a day. Your procedures have to grow with you. So it's this constant process of revisiting them and restructuring them so they continue to work for you, not against you.
Yeah. And this is a point I would say where a lot of offices and a lot of docs, chiros get kind of stuck in the mud a little bit is because this seems daunting, right? You have to break down and look at every aspect of your practice and put a system in place. And I guess this is where we might say that's kind of where we come in. We
Yeah, exactly.
not only systems but business analytics to help put in the structure that you need to help to kind of evolve with that growth.
Yeah, exactly. That's a big part of what we do for our clients at CATS Consultants. So let's jump in here to number 5 and we'll kind of wrap this up a little bit. Number 5, I think you have to have the right mindset for growth and you have to be relentlessly driven towards that. And I see a lot of doctors who really don't spend any time on their mindset. They walk in 5 minutes before or 5 minutes after patients getting there. They don't give themselves any time outside of face-to-face patient time to really focus on their mindset, their staff's mindset. How are we growing? How are we going to grow? And I think that all that is so important because you'll never get to the level of success that you hope for if you don't focus on the mindset.
Yeah. Well, and I would kind of lump a lot of that under professional development, right?
Yeah.
Just had this conversation with a client the other day that it's hard to do professional development during clinic hours. It's just, even if you're not loaded schedule at this stage, new office or new practitioner or whatever the case may be, getting that done during clinic hours, it's not going to happen.
Not effectively, for sure. Yeah.
Got to be scheduled, it needs to be scheduled time, but take advantage of some of those and look at what is your morning routine? What time do you get up? Are you rolling out of bed and you're skating in last minute? There's patients already at the office and you're rolling in, or are we getting up, taking some personal time, even if it's 10 or 15 minutes to listen to a podcast, to read journals, to whatever it may be, work on. There's so many resources out there to work on that professional development, growth mindset, our mastermind series. There's just things that you can do, lunchtimes, walks, car rides, commute time. So many places that, it can be better spent putting in some effort into yourself.
Yeah. Fill the gaps appropriately with good mindset stuff. And we spend a lot of time doing that with our clients. We have our mastermind meetings twice a month and those kind of things where we kind of get off the mouse wheel just a little bit of patient care and dive into things that actually grow that mindset and help build that personal and professional development, because that is so important. And it's important for so many reasons. Success isn't something that just happens. It's a process of mastery. We talk about this a lot. Mastery is about always working to get better. It's not about perfectionism. It's about working to get better. It's about holding yourself accountable. It's about keeping connected to what you're doing and creating a focus that is always trying to improve, whether it's your adjusting skills, your business knowledge, your staff development, your success strategies, whatever it might be. You're constantly working on it. So we have to remember that just because we graduated from chiropractic school doesn't mean we've mastered anything. We've learned some great things, but over time you become a better doctor, you become a better adjuster, you become better at communicating with patients. But what are you doing to get better at running your business and
Right.
creating success?
Well, in hindsight now, and you and I have been in practice about the same number of years
Mhm.
now, and a long time. We won't say how long.
I
but
won't
that's
say how
been a
long.
long time. But hindsight now, looking back, I mean, the areas and the times in that practice span where I've maybe started to feel burnout, or it's looking back now, I could say, because I kind of floated off of doing more professional development time, more of that mindset time. And, the burnout can start to creep in. So I'd say, if you're a practitioner that's kind of feeling that stress or feeling that tug of burnout, how much time are you spending on the mindset, on professional development? My guess is probably not enough. It's probably not at
That-
all, or it's laxed quite a bit.
Yeah, if any.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all of that stuff is important. So if you're struggling to reach the level of success that you'd hoped for when you got into practice, or maybe you're just starting out in practice, or you've reached a level of success and you don't know where to go now, go to catsconsultants.com. Go check out what we do to help patients, help doctors create more success in their practice, more profitability, and find that balance in their practice life and their personal life. We're very unique. We help you focus on the business strategies that create success, not just shoving more new patients into your practice that may be actually damaging you. So vision, numbers, the patient wow experience, creating great systems, and having that growth mindset. Those are the 5 key things that you have to succeed. So make sure you're looking inward to find those things. And when it comes to podcasts and things like this, don't just listen. Don't just think that's going to make you grow. You have to do what? You have to take action. So make sure you're implementing things. So
But
Alec,
and again, the better you are at doing these things, it's going to make practice more fun.
yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
when you look forward to showing up to work every day, it definitely it makes the day go faster. It can avoid the burnout, and honestly, your patients are going to see it. They're going to feel it. You're going to grow faster when you enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah. And it does. It becomes very, very fun. All right, everybody. That's it for this week. So we appreciate everybody tuning in to the KC CHIROpulse podcast. We appreciate Chiro Health USA for being one of our sponsors. Please go check them out too, because they're doing great things for doctors as well. So from all of us here at Cats Consultants, we'll see you next time.